Good afternoon. Could you please state your name for the record and spell both your first and last name?
My name is Brett Halderson, B-R-E-T-T, last name Halderson, H-A-L-D-E-R-S-O-N.
I'm going to ask you to grab the base of the microphone.
Very
You can
closer.
sit comfortably. That you can pull up closer. The fans are on right now, so it's becoming a little bit harder to hear folks. Thank you.
All right. Brett, your last name is Halderson. Were you related to Bart and Krista Halderson?
Yes, Bart is my brother.
Were you the older brother, the younger brother?
I am an older brother by about 4 years.
Okay. So you knew Bart his entire life?
Yes.
And you knew Krista, Chandler, and Mitchell as well?
Yes.
What was your relationship like with Bart, Krista, and the kids?
General good relationship with them. We would have family get-togethers at holidays. We would talk over the phone occasionally, maybe send an occasional text message back and forth.
Okay. And how would you describe Bart and Krista as parents towards Mitchell and Chandler?
They were good parents, very nurturing. Krista was very involved with her children. I know it was mentioned like helicopter mom, but she was very attuned to everything that they were into. They were supportive in that anything they were involved in with school, with swimming. They were lifeguards. They promoted those things. They got them through Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts was very big in our family, and that followed through with them in raising their boys.
Okay. How did you learn about your brother and his wife being missing?
I believe the information went to my aunt and uncle, was referred over to my parents, and my parents gave me a call.
And Brett, just to put this in some context, what did you do as a career?
I worked as a police officer, a deputy chief for the Menasha Police Department.
What did you do upon hearing that Bart and Krista were missing?
Initially, my first impression is statistically, they probably were out of phone range. Everything would be fine, and we would probably locate them or have communication with them within the next couple hours. So at that time, I believe I made a phone call to them just to see if I could get a hold of them, try to get things straightened out as soon as I could.
What is the next thing you decided to do after that in regards to them being missing?
After that, I believe just to get more information, I made phone contact with Chandler just to see where they were expected to be, what was going on with their life, where they were going, and I guess to find out the different avenues where we'd be able to make contact with them.
And what did you learn from Chandler?
He had mentioned that they were going up north. I think the big piece of information that was valuable was that they had left with an unknown person or couple. I think the male was believed to be a Dan, and left in that person's vehicle. And with that information, I prompted him to try to find out who this Dan might be. I did even mention about finding if the neighbors across the street had a ring camera that may have got in that vehicle and a license plate that would be able to help us identify the person.
Did Chandler seem to take your advice, and was he able to answer your questions?
Yes. Yes. Matter of fact, he had gone across the street, and then shortly after speaking with Mr. Kevin Linsmeyer, I received a phone call from Kevin Linsmeyer saying that he was over there, and just wanted to make sure that I was aware of everything that was going on.
Okay. What did you do next as Bart and Krista continued to be missing?
I know I had the opportunity to speak with sheriff's deputies and then later the investigators, and I guess afforded them any information I could, as well as gathering pictures for, lost people, a poster, getting anything that we could to help find them.
Are you, during this time period, are you in pretty frequent contact with Chandler?
I believe multiple times a day, yes.
Okay. Are you learning any more pieces to the story throughout your contact with Chandler?
As we spoke, and I guess was prodding for more and more information, he did reveal that there was health problems. I was aware of my brother having psoriasis and some arthritis related to that, but he did bring up the information that Krista had some type of cancer that he was recently made aware of, as well as, I believe, the small stroke. And with that, it opened up the possibility that they may have gone somewhere to receive treatment for that and maybe just hadn't been giving that information to the family because they wanted to keep that personal.
Okay. During the course of all these different discussions you're having with Chandler, at any point does he float the idea to you that perhaps they're out drinking somewhere?
I don't believe that ever came up, no.
Does he ever explain to you that they took a bunch of tools and a large amount of cash to the cabin?
I believe he mentioned the tools and the cash as far as going up to the cabin to do some repairs, yes.
Did he mention the possibility of a casino trip to you?
He did not mention anything about a casino, and I'm not familiar with my brother or Krista ever visiting casinos for entertainment.
With your brother being a CPA, did it seem likely to you whether or not he'd have a large amount of cash on hand in a safe in his home?
Knowing my brother, I've never known him to have a large amount of cash on his person or in his home. He would have kept that, I would believe, more secure.
And he believed in investments, is that fair to say?
Yes.
I want to turn your attention now to some of the other things that you knew or may not have known about Chandler. What did you think Chandler was doing as far as schooling?
I believed he was a student at the Madison Area Technical College, or the Madison College, I believe it's changed how it's referred to.
And did you ever talk to him about like what sort of classes he was taking or anything like that?
I know Bart had mentioned in the past that he was involved in solar energy. At a holiday when we had gotten together, Chandler had mentioned that he was doing something with IT security, and he was in a class where their first assignment was to write a kind of a Trojan program that could be placed on a server somewhere, sent via email, that would, once placed, either by request or automatically would send information from that server back to them. And that was done as a learning skill for an IT person.
Okay. What did you think Chandler was doing as far as work?
I believed he was doing an internship at American Family.
Did you know of any more details as to what he was doing there or anything?
In talking with Bart, I believe it was something dealing with IT services, nothing more beyond that.
What, if anything, did you know about Chandler's potential concussion?
I was not aware of any concussion. Up until when I was speaking with him after Bart and Krista were found missing, he did bring that up as a point where he wasn't able to drive long distances or shouldn't be going out far, in his vehicle driving. But before their disappearance, I was not aware of any concussion.
Have you ever went scuba diving with your nephew, Chandler?
Yes.
How many times?
I'm a scuba instructor. I was able to talk my brother into having him and his two sons trained or certified in scuba diving. I think it was in September of 2019. They had come up to my house. I live in the outside of Appleton in the Hilbert area. They had done the online training. We did a pool session, and then we did an open water session. Actually, enough dives to get them certified as scuba divers.
So in two locations, in a lake or some body of water and in the pool?
Yes.
So 2 times?
Well, yeah, at the pool and open body of water, yep, and all within the same weekend.
Okay. Did you and Chandler ever have discussions about police diving?
I believe at some holiday family get-together after he was certified, he had broached the topic of what it takes to become a public safety diver. At that time, we discussed back and forth that it usually happens if you're part of a law enforcement agency or potentially on a fire department that has a dive team. And those were usually the two main ways of getting on a dive team, and then occasionally you'll find a civilian formed public safety dive team.
And how would you know that information?
I'm currently on the Calumet County dive team. I was on the Winnebago County dive team when I was working for the Menasha Police Department. I'm also a public safety diver instructor, so I work with numerous dive teams.
And to your knowledge, was Chandler ever on a rescue dive team associated with any law enforcement?
No, he was not.
What about the DNR? Was he on anything to your knowledge concerning
Not to my
them?
knowledge, no.
Mr. Halderson, when was the last time you talked to your brother, Bart?
It would have been the morning of July 1st.
Is there any reason you remember that date?
Because that's my birthday. Our family makes it a ritual of contacting each other on our birthdays. And that was the phone call that he had made to me that morning.
Is that the last time you spoke to your brother?
Yes.
No further questions.
Any cross-examination?
Good afternoon, Mr. Halderson.
Yeah.
Do you need a glass of water or anything? We can take a break if you need something.
I should be good for now.
And I just have a couple questions for you. Thank you. To confirm, you said that you live just outside of Appleton?
I live in Hilbert,
Okay.
Wisconsin, yep.
Okay, but not in Dane County, Wisconsin.
No.
How often would you say you did come over to Dane County to visit Bart and Krista?
It was not very frequently that we were down there. They were very COVID conscious, so when COVID was around, they had not been up by us. They had not hosted any events. I visited them last September of 2020, where Bart and I had gone out scuba diving at Devil's Lake. And before that was probably sometime in earlier 2019.
How about just regular phone conversations with Bart or Krista? How often would you say you did that?
Very rarely would I have a phone conversation with Krista. With Bart, I believe it was every couple of months, every 3 months, maybe we'd have a conversation while I was out walking the dogs, and I would either just have a desire to speak with him, or I had a tax question, and it would be an opportunity to speak with him.
And as far as the information that you provided to Chandler about what he should do, is it fair to say that you were providing that information because of your prior experience in law enforcement, or something that you would have provided regardless?
I guess I provide anything to help find my brother and his wife.
But I guess, and I apologize, what I was getting at is telling Chandler to go seek out rig footage or to talk to neighbors. Is that something that perhaps was a little easier for you to suggest because of your experience in law enforcement?
Maybe I was more aware of it because of my experience in law enforcement, but just knowing camera systems and knowing that sometimes they're not kept more than 24 hours, 48 hours or longer, and I wasn't aware of what Dane County was doing at the time, I thought it just would be prudent to try to preserve any information that would potentially have a license plate of a vehicle that stopped there that day.
Sure, and that's exactly why you provided that information
Yes.
for Chandler. As far as Krista's family, are you aware she's close to her family?
Objection relevance.
Overruled. You can answer if you know.
I know she has brothers and sisters throughout the United States. I know she was very, very close with her mother while her mother was alive.
I have no further questions. Thank you so much.
Any redirect?
No, no further questions.
May Mr. Halderson be released and excused?
He may.
Thank you, sir, for your time today.